What's up, and welcome to episode 9 of How to Make a Knife. This is a knife podcast. I'm Mike, and this is
Steve from Cutter Fabrications.
hell yeah. Welcome, man. It's been almost a year since we were able to record last. A lot has happened, but neither of us have stopped making knives. That's for damn sure.
I took a little break. I took quite a few months off.
Well, tell us about it. What were you up to?
The months off, I kind of just I put knives completely in the back burner, man. I had to get my mental right and all that shit. You know, I went through a bunch of shit, so I was kind of just put everything aside, and I was just hitting the gym and doing shit like that for quite a few months actually. I think I didn't make a fucking knife for over 6 months.
Yeah.
But I was watching videos. I was keeping it. It was on the back burner. It was still there. I was watching videos, and I was thinking about getting into whetstone sharpening and all that stuff. So, kind of, that's really all I learned new technique wise is how to whetstone.
How do you feel with the whetstone? Because once people figure it out, they swear by it. But as for me, I feel like it's a little unnecessary. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll never sharpen a chef's knife with the belt ever again.
Hmm.
Once I figured it out, yeah, I'll never go back to the belt. I actually bought an Atomo 140 whetstone to set my edge on now too. So I'm not even gonna set the edges on a belt anymore either.
That's
So
what
I'm
I
gonna
was going to
go from a
ask.
140 all the way up to either an 8,000 or a 12,000. Most of
Interesting.
my everyday use chef's knives will probably be anywhere from 8, but the Japanese style chef knives will probably go up to 12 to 15,000.
Damn. Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's my main question is like, do you set the edge on a belt and then hand sand it up, hand sharpen it up? But I guess the way you put that edge on with the belt is going to be different than how you rub it through. So you might as well start right from the start on the stone, same methods, same movements.
Yep. I
That
just
makes
do the
sense.
same exact thing on 5 or 6 different stones, and that's about it. I mean, it doesn't take as long as you think either. So it's, you know, I could get one done in 15 minutes. It's not that bad.
Yeah, that ain't bad at all. You watch the
Yeah.
YouTube videos, and sometimes they're like, "Well, you spend an hour on this stone," and like
No,
they
I mean,
tell you like it's 2 hours. Get the fuck out of here.
no, I mean, even the knife that I thought was going to take a while, I feel like it took me 20 minutes maybe to get it. And I rolled up a nice piece of paper. I took the one I took a video of. I rolled up a piece of paper and cut it in half real nice, man, like smooth. I took 20 minutes on that knife. You're just raising it a burr, man. Like it's not that
Right.
in depth. I mean, if you have trouble feeling it, get yourself a little monocle. I'm gonna get myself a monocle just to see a little bit better. But other than that, like it's not difficult. Just being able to hold the angle is the most difficult part. And I've learned that if like you kind of use your body a little bit instead of just pushing your arms.
Hmm.
Because if you push your arms, it kind of changes the angle. When more like you rock your body, you're just keeping your arms still. And that was like the biggest helping tip for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Even on the belt sharpening, when I do it, I pull my knife real close to my body and I
Yeah.
rock like I'm doing a salsa, like I
Yeah.
don't
Same.
I don't want to move
I
an
use my
angle.
hips
So
almost like, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But that's been my goal over this past year has been to thin out my knives.
Hmm.
I always would bring my knives down close to an edge. There's, a little bit of a thickness there and everything. And now I'm at the point where when I bring my bevels in, it's pretty much to an edge already. And
Yeah. That's what I do now. Yeah.
yeah, that
Oh,
little bit
well,
of
you saw
change
that
has,
video with that knife I blacked out. That thing sharp as already. That's how I messed up the old finger, dude. I think I'm gonna
yeah,
actually have to push my chef knife back, drop it back a week because I can't hand sand right now, dude.
yeah,
It's brutal.
yeah, man. That was
It took
the
me like
photos.
3 times the amount of time to get this thing to here than it should have. I'm like, dude, I can't do this right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to know when to quit too. Listen, we push when we have a deadline, but sometimes it's not worth it. You're gonna fuck something up or hurt yourself if you don't
Yeah.
just take a minute.
Well, the thing is, like, it's such a bad spot. No matter how I cover it, too, I can't keep it clean. So even
Yeah.
though I had gloves on and everything yesterday, I took the gloves off and all the bandages off, and it was still black under there. I'm like, man, I can't risk this thing getting infected. Then I'll definitely never get anything done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's a real issue. Yeah. So all right. So you got nice sharp edges on your new knives. Over this past year, have you decided to change profiles of anything? Are you trying any different methods out on your new knives? Is there anything that you're experimenting with, or is it kind of, hey, let's refine what we're doing already?
on my chef's knives, no, I'm not experimenting with anything. The only experiment was the whetstones, and I wouldn't really say that was an experiment. It was an inevitable change. It was going to happen one way or another at some point.
Yeah.
Um, and it was just a matter of figuring it out. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of Japanese guys. I don't even want to try pronouncing their names, but there was a few that there was two names that I watched quite a few videos of. I really like their information, and like I said, I'm not even gonna try pronouncing their names right now. But other than that, the only other experiment I have going on are like these self defense knives that I'm trying out for the first time, and I got a lot of hits on them. A lot of people are very interested in them, so this is going to be like the main thing for Lehigh Valley for me.
Nice. Have you solidified a table yet, or are you gonna just grab a table kind of day
I
of if you
haven't.
can?
No, I
Yeah.
don't even know if I'm going to do day of. I'm just going to make sure like a week out that I'm good. Because if
Okay.
I'm not, as long as I have, if I can get like six, even if I have just six of these on the table, I don't care. I'm still going to go.
Yeah.
Um, I have a feeling I'm getting a lot of people questioning about my chef's knife, so I don't know if I'm going to have. I only have, I think, seven. Well, I'm going to have six chef's knives and a paring knife, but I don't think I'm going to have much left, if anything, after that, because I'm getting a lot of interest in those already.
Yeah.
So I might not even have a chef's knife for Lehigh Valley, which I'm fine with. Like I said, I'd be fine with going with six of these and that's it. Because if I go with nothing, I'm just going to come on Saturday and walk around,
Yeah.
try not to buy anything.
Dude, selling out of all your
So,
knives is a good problem to have. So
yeah, I mean, I can't complain about it. I'd love to be at the show, especially with the new people running it and all that stuff. And this year, I'm a little better set up with business cards and just the way I trying to sell things. So
yeah. Well, one of the last things I noticed that you've also gotten into is your whole last drop. Well, not the whole last drop, but a lot of the knives had the fat carbon, and I know you're working with a lot of the fat carbon right now. And do you like this material? Is it easy to work with? Is it easy to sand? Do you feel like it's very dusty?
yeah, I mean, yeah, the dust is terrible for you. So you're gonna have to wear a mask doing this stuff, especially when you're using it on the grinder. When you're hand sanding and stuff, you're all right. I mean, you're not creating crazy dust in your face, but yeah, it's terrible for you. That's the only
Yeah,
downfall to it. It looks cool. It is pretty easy to work with. It always comes in really nice. Um, yeah, I haven't had any problems with it yet. I'm trying to debate on these self-defense knives whether I'm going to texture the fat carbon. I'm going to put some fat carbon on there, and I'm going to put some wood on there. The wood is obviously going to be smooth, but I don't know because I know I'm still debating. I don't even know. I might not even put any of them. I might not do wood on any of them. I might just do like my Carta and do textured everything textured.
Hmm.
But I have to debate that out in my own head yet.
Yeah, yeah. Handles are have become my biggest focus. So you know, I'm a few years in now. I'm pretty confident that all my knives are hardened. I'm pretty confident that all my knives are geometrically shaped to cut well, and the edge is good. And I have all this down. My biggest
Yep.
thought process now is what kind of handles do I want? How thick do I want them to be? Because on my paring knives now, I've thinned everything down, and on my fillet knives, I've actually kind of filled it out a little bit instead of going too thin. This stuff matters. What colors do I want? What color pins do I want with my liners that
Mm,
go with the stabilized wood? I spend most of my time here, and I love that this is where the focus is because it's no longer trying to make sure my knives are a knife and more of like how can I make them look better? How can I make it,
yeah.
more
Make it look like it came
spirited
out
and
of make it look like you could sell it in a store. That's kind of where my
yeah,
mind's at.
Yeah, yeah.
Pick it up off.
I want it to be something that really speaks to people and is like, oh, this shit's unique. This is what stands out because the
Mhm.
more we're in this knife business, the more I realize as a garage maker, like we don't have CNC machines and all this high tech stuff in order to bring things to machine perfection. So we can't bring this robotic level of precision. However, we can bring a lot more soul and sharpness and detail and that's what I'm focusing on right now
Yeah.
because even in folding knives, so I've been making the slip joints and the
Mhm.
slip joints feel inadequate to the flippers and these new button locks and the liner locks and
Things with bearings and everything. Yeah, I mean,
right,
you
it's
don't need that.
primitive. Right. So that's ultimately what I came down to is because I've been working. I ordered myself a Civivi and a Kaiser with all these different flip methods so I could test it out. And they're great to carry. I love them. But at
Yeah,
the end of the day, I'm not going to make it better than them. And I got these beautiful
exactly.
knives for like 50,
You can't
60
think
bucks.
like that either.
Right. Well, so the thing is, I'm trying to compete with this stuff and make it good, but the prices that I'd have to charge to do it when honestly, I would just say just buy a Civivi if you want a little flipper pocket
No, I
knife.
mean, yeah, but you gotta look at Sharp by Design?
Yes, yeah.
He, I can't remember his name. Um, can't remember
Yeah,
his name.
you just recently mentioned his site to me, Sharp by Design, and it's almost kind of
I can't remember his name off the top of my
I
head though.
I
But
guess
I actually go to the gym with his son, and that guy's dude. He's selling these beautiful knives for $1,000, man. Like, so
right.
you can't count that out. You can't be like,
Well,
oh, I can never compete with them. You're not trying to. You're trying to make a handmade piece. Civivi's not making handmade pieces. They're pumping
right,
them out like production style. That's why you're getting it for $60.
right. I understand. I know. I just there was something to me that realized that like trying to go above what I'm capable of in order to try to hit a perception that I'm not capable of. I think I'm gonna just back away from these until the day I have a machine to make it feasible for me.
Yeah. Just
You
don't
know,
say never. Don't be like, oh, I can't compete with them. You're not trying to compete with them. You're trying to be
that's right. Yeah,
making one
until
of
I
a
have
kind
the
shit.
tools to compete. Yeah. Well, I guess no, I literally can't compete. I don't have the tools. So I it's not even worth it. But I one day maybe, but for right now what I've realized is I really appreciate the slip joints. I think it feels
Mm.
really nice and I've been working with leather and I'm making these fitted leather holsters for them, which allows you to carry these slip joints in a very easy to access manner. It looks nice. Again, it's all handmade as hell. So I think
Are
now
you
I have
hand
this
sewing your
new
leather?
hand sewing it. Yep, I'm wetting it and I'm hand pressing it, hand sewing it, hand dyeing it. Everything is done again primitively because I don't have the tools for this. So um, I think this is the best way for me to go with it, and I'm doubling down. I have another design I'm going to do for my slip joints and just focus on that, when it comes down to carrying stuff. Because
Yeah.
listen, you want a flipper, just go get a Civivi. Those things are so fucking nice. I've been so impressed with these, $50
I
knives.
got
It's crazy.
I've got like 3 Civivis. I got 3 Civivis, 1 Re-8 by Brian Brown, another Civivi by Brian Brown. And then I just did my newest knife, dude. Oh man, I just picked this up from my buddy Jimmy Lynch.
Yeah, dude, that thing's
Shout
awesome.
out to shout out to Triari Metalworks, dude. This thing's awesome. It's like
Yeah, dude.
beautiful, man.
Look at that point. That is gorgeous.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, he makes some beautiful stuff, man. I would definitely keep an eye out on
Can,
on his work.
what clip does he have? What belt clip does he have on that?
He
If you can
uses
pull that up.
Ulti clips.
Ulti clips. Okay.
Yep.
Nice. Now I
Same
like
ones I
Ulti
use. You got the
clips.
Ulti Clip Slims. I love the Ulti Clips because I want to be able to. I want to know that the knife's not falling out from wherever I clip it to, and that's what you get with the Ulti Clips. They're expensive. I mean, you're paying $11 a clip, $12 a clip.
Yeah. Well, for my belt loop clips, they're almost the same price too. So I mean, if you want a
Is that
good
right?
clip, that
Okay.
is what it is. Yeah. I
Yeah.
like the Ulti clips for things that you're going to be clipping to things other than belts. But for like my everyday carries, honestly, the clips don't clip onto a thick leather belt.
Mm.
So when you're trying to carry on a belt, they end up not working. So I'm in this like middle ground where do I put my knives with the ulti clips because they are so tight and awesome, or do you want them to be on a belt looped clip because you could put it on a fucking belt then? And that's where I carry
Yeah.
all of my stuff. So I've been torn between it, and I have a stash of both clip types, and I never know which one's going to get what. So that's something I'm working on. What do you think is more
Yeah.
comfortable? The straight belt clips or the ones that have like that little like 15-degree press away from the body?
I've never messed with the ones that press it away from the body. Um, I mean, I don't find any issue with the ones I got now. I mean, it's not like it's in the way. If it's in the way, I'll move the clip or I'll move where I carry it.
Mm.
Um,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't put any kind of wedging or anything in there to make it sit away from my body.
Damn. Well, I
I'm not
just
too worried
realized
about it.
you're a very fit person. I'm dad bod over here, so it digs into the gut a little bit. So I like when it has that little bit of press away from me. But
Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. Definitely, it all made sense as you're like, no, I don't have that problem. It's like, okay, I see it now. But yeah, so the leather working has been my newest endeavor. Um, it's dude, it's harder than Kydex by far.
Oh, I can
It's
imagine. Yeah, I
it's
messed with
crazy.
a little bit of leather in the beginning. Um, First knife I ever made, I wound up giving it away to somebody. I don't know why. I did that a lot when I first started out. I just gave shit away.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. No real desire to go back to leather unless I start making, which I do want to make some like traditional style hunting knives. Um, Kind of like a little bit different than the drop point I make now, obviously, but still a drop point. But I want to make like a traditional hunter style knife,
Hmm. Yeah.
full size. Because
Yeah.
I know
I
people like full size. I don't care for full size hunting knives
Nope.
really. I've never found a need for a K-bar size hunting knife ever. So
No, it's not comfortable. You don't need that much blade. I mean, unless you're
no,
hacking limbs or something or trying to do something ridiculous, but I mean,
no,
we're
like
real hunting.
these.
We don't need that. So
No, I got basically these and these, and that's all I need.
yeah,
And
exactly.
they're small, man. Everybody seems to like them so far too, which is great. Can't complain
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
But there's a
Actually,
couple people asking me for full size ones, so I'll make them eventually. They're just not. I'm not. I mean, maybe I'll do like September or something like right before hunting season, like release uh something like that. Do a
yeah.
drop.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like the full size. The small blade is better. Actually, even I'm making the same hunting knives that I've always made for this show. But when I had
Yeah,
them cut, I made them just a little smaller than I have been because again, you don't need that much blade, and it's all about you know m- lightweight
comfort when
movability.
you're hiking miles and stuff, man. You want to be comfortable
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
So if you're wearing that
lightweight,
on your side.
and again, dad bods. These knives are pressing. It is pressing on you. So the smaller, the easiest. That's always what I'm looking for with it. But yeah, leather specifically is why I started it in the first place. One, I love the way it looks. Two, for my
Mm.
cleavers, I'm trying to make these strapped. I don't have it next to me, but yesterday I made it's like a sleeve that goes over the cleaver and then a strap that goes around and snaps. And I
That's
finished it
nice.
all up and then I damaged the snap. So I have to take the whole thing apart to re-sew it all up with a new snap. So that broke my heart, but
Yeah, that's how you learn, I guess, but that fucking
yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. And the other thing
I'm
I
so
want to use it
annoyed.
for is the Damascus. I realized the last time I had done Damascus and I was using the Kydex just presses into the Damascus a little bit.
Mm.
And it can just start to fade and wear some of the staining and etching. So I figured if I'm going to do Damascus in the future, I might as well have leather knocked out. That way it's nice and
How
cozy and it really
much
takes care of it.
how much tape are you putting on your blade when you do your kydex? How many
Um,
layers?
How many layers?
Yeah,
Oh, so you mean like the tape that I put on the blade before I
on the
press
blade
it?
itself. Yeah,
I just put one layer of painter's tape on it and then I press.
you should do 3,
Yeah.
2 or 3. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Do
Cool.
2 or 3, and then you're not going to run into that rubbing problem where it's going to take off the stuff. Oh, the only
Okay.
part that'll connect is where you need the connection. Like this will be the only connection.
Right.
It's a
Shit.
big help.
Okay.
Two or
Nice.
3 layers is good. Is good. That
Oh
was a
damn!
big change in my Kydex game.
That's a little tip, but that might be a huge difference for me then.
Huge difference for me, man. It really was.
Hmm.
Big difference for
Okay.
me. That was
Cool.
a big downfall for me too, man. When I had a big problem with the Kydex before the show, like I was like just so defeated by it, and like I try a couple things here and there, man. Like Kydex for me was fucking harder to make than the knives, dude. What the
Dude,
fuck,
yeah, I
bro?
know, I know.
I can't figure out this plastic. Fuck plastic. Like
Yeah.
I really don't want to send them out to somebody else either. You know, I was like, fucking god damn it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
the 2 to 3 layers of tape was my aha moment.
I'm gonna do that. I haven't done any sheaths for the knives for the April knife show. I'm planning on having 30 to 35 knives done for this. I'm
You're fucking
doing,
crazy, bro.
dude. Well, so I've been working on this since December. I've been stamping and quenching and tempering. I did over 50
Mm.
knives since December, and I've also been gluing up liners to handles since December. So although I'm like pumping it out almost daily, they're all ready. You know, like everything's there laid together. I just need to bevel it, glue it, and everything. So as I'm
Yep.
posting all these knives on Instagram, they don't have any sheaths yet. They don't have any edges yet. They're not, the spine of it isn't hand sanded down so it's super smooth yet. Like they look finished enough for pictures, but I
Mhm.
still don't technically have any knives 100% done for the show yet, which is good and bad because
As
now
long as you
I
have a
could test
plan.
out. Yeah, I could test out this new three layers of tape thing. So it's actually a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, dude, you could do one with 2 and do one with 3. I mean, they'll both be good, but see what you like better.
Yeah,
3
yeah,
3 might be better.
okay. Yeah, I can't see it being an issue. I just always just assumed I'll just put tape on to protect the blade. It'll be nice and snug, but it makes sense how much space is that really happening, and it'll still clip in tightly. So I like it.
Exactly. It's still gonna the only part that's gonna touch is the only part you want to touch, you know? And it'll
Yeah,
still be tight enough where it's not wiggling or bouncing around in there.
yeah, nice. All right. Well, are there any goals you have for this year? So this has been the past year. Moving forward to the rest of 2025, we have like 10 months of knife making in this year. Do you have anything you're going to shoot for? Try to make any new methods, steels, materials? What?
I mean, I might dabble in some new steels. I mean, my only real goal for this year, knife making wise, was to try to do a drop every month, whether it be a
Hmm.
drop or a show. Um, and that was my main goal. It doesn't really matter when, because I work full time, obviously, you know, so I can't pick like, oh, the first Friday of every month. Like it's going to be when it's going to be, especially when you blast your finger open. Like like I said, I gotta push
Yeah.
my next drop back a week just so I can let this thing heal for a couple more days before I decide to cut it off or something stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my only real goal is to do a drop a month or a show. I'd definitely like to do. I know I missed the PA knife show in September last year, and I'd really like to be there for that one this year. Um, other than that, I might sign up for a random if I have a free weekend and I have some knives done that didn't do well on a drop or something. I might sign up for a gun show in a random place and just go. Things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Now, for your knife drops, do you intend to do any drops that are not knives? I know that you're very handy. You do cutting boards. I'm sure you do bottle openers and all. Is there any other tool that you plan on doing drops for? Is it just let's see how many knives we could get out this year?
I'm probably gonna. I have some wood. I'm gonna mess around with some cutting boards this year. Um, I just got a slab of black walnut that I'm gonna turn into either a pair of coffee tables that are going to be river tables. Either way I go, they're going to be river tables, whether it's dining table or 2 coffee tables. But yeah, I have some other projects that are non knives that are going to be going out this year, cutting boards, tables, and just some random stuff. I want to get back into the epoxy work a little bit, just because I love those river tables. They're really cool.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about that in one of our next episodes because I just recently got some stuff and I've been messing with that epoxy as well. So I've got a few questions that I'd like to cover, but we'll cover that when we're talking about some new shit. All right. Is there any big upgrades in the shop? Is there any tool that you're missing that's like I know you got the new stones, but is there anything else that's like, fuck man, I could really use this?
Man, the more I think about it, the more I think about that electro etch machine from blade marking. Especially the last knife I just blacked out, man. I blacked it out and I'm like, man, my logo's gone. Like it's in there. You can see it if you look
Yeah,
closely, but like it's hidden now basically. So I'm like, man,
yeah,
if I had that thing soaked and then had the etching machine, I could etch it afterwards. I'd look really cool, And there's just
yeah,
certain things like some of these blades, man, like I just start polishing them out and my logo just starts disappearing. And I'm like, man, that was so deep when I started. Like, why is it half of it gone now? So
yeah,
that's the only thing I'm really debating, because my logo's round too, so it's kind of not the easiest to stamp straight every time. Like you can try, but
right, right,
it doesn't always sit the flattest.
right. Yeah, I've had those same exact issues. I still have those. That's actually why where I stamp my knives now, I make sure that it stays unfinished.
Yeah, I
Because even if
noticed you do that now.
yeah, even if you blast it really hard, once you start sanding it, one of the corners, some part of it is going to just kind of disappear. Or even if it doesn't disappear, the grit gets into it and kind of removes some of the color from inside of it. And
Yeah.
um, so I've just strategically now I've embraced this. Hey, part of my knife is unfinished steel. And then what I do is once I'm done beveling it, I just take like 300, 400 grit steel sanding paper and I just remove some of the scaling on it. That way, at
Mhm.
least the logo pops. Any of the rust that formed while I was beveling is gone. And but yeah, I
So have you been
couldn't
thinking
figure it
about that
out.
too then? Getting
Yeah,
the
yeah,
etching machine? Yeah. I mean, it's
yeah,
only $300. It's like, but then you got to
yeah,
find somebody to make you a bunch of stencils, which I think is fairly easy. But I haven't looked into that too much. So what I might do is if I look into it and I can get stencils and have somebody make me stencils, then I'll probably just order the machine. But
yeah. So
or I
my
wonder
problem is
if I could use like my stamp somehow to like make my own stencil. If there's some kind of transfer electrochem paper that you could use your own stamp and just make my own stencils every time with my stamp. That'd be
yeah,
cool.
I my problem is when I started looking into this, I immediately realized I would just want the laser etcher. Um,
I know. Yeah, yeah.
so it's like if I'm going to spend 300, I'll just spend 1,000 because then I could do everything I want with it and whatever I want. If I want to put a dick and balls on one of my knives, I can, write
You can, yeah.
USA or whatever.
Yeah.
So
That's another thing I want. That's another thing. Because I was checking out my buddy's blade and a couple things that I really liked about it. Like, dude, he's got all the information you need on it. He's got the
yeah,
material, and this is all probably done with a laser. He's got
yep,
his
yeah,
name. He's got the material, the year it was made in USA. And like the one
yeah,
thing I liked about it is how the package, man, it came with all this made in USA stuff. USA
yeah,
sticker, USA stickers here, made in USA on the blade. And I'm like, man, like that's probably a good thing to have because like I'm not gonna get a made in USA stamp and then get this fucking other stamp for Nitro V and then get another stamp for 1095. Like at that point, it would be cool to just have the electrochem machine where on one side I can put my logo and then on the other side I can put 1095, whatever I want, the years, all that shit.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if I'll go that crazy, like put the year, but I'd love to have like a made in USA stamp on my knives.
yeah, yeah.
I feel like
I
that shit
mean,
goes a long way.
I would love to put the numbers of a series, because normally when I make knives, it's 3 to 6 at a time, and I'd like
Yeah.
to just put the one of six or whatever. That way, you know,
Yeah, man.
one day people know it's like these were the one of sixes. So
Yeah.
it would be good. But no,
Yeah,
I
something.
listen. No crazy goals this year, but definitely not going to stop making knives. And just want to keep on tightening some things up.
Yeah,
That's
refine
that's it.
my craft a little bit, man. I
Yeah.
wanna get my knives a little better, and that was the whole thing with moving to the whetstones. If I felt like that could up my edge game a little bit, and I personally think it did. So I'm gonna keep doing that and just keep trying to think of ideas, trying to get inspiration from other makers and see, kind of how they're doing their stuff. And oh, okay, maybe I've never tried doing it that way. Let me try that and see how I
Yeah.
like things. See how I like doing it different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, so when I finish all of the knives for the PA show, um, all of my knives have two variations that I did. So for my cleavers, one of them has this thumb hump in the back, one of them doesn't. For my chef's knives, some of them are broad faced all the way up, some of them taper down to a much leaner point. I did it for my
Hmm.
mini choppers. Um, I made two versions of all of the knives that I like in what I prefer and what my wife prefers, and then right before the show, I'm going to post them next to each other and try to see if I could get some polls and votes of like, hey, which one do you guys like better? Because I know what I like, they know what they like, and I want to see if I post it out and it's pretty much even, I'll make both. If
Keep making both. Yeah.
clearly we're leaning at 80% of the people prefer this design, then it's like, okay, I won't even make the other because we got to streamline stuff, and shaping a knife is a lot of work. So if I could get these cutouts of 20 knives that I know people are going to like, that I know how to work with, then it's just going to make my job so much easier. So
Yep.
gotta get the polls, ask the
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah. It's like, because we're going to make what we like, or, your girl likes, or whatever. Because, I'm going to make what feels good in my hand.
Yeah.
I gotta get reviews from other people, and I'm working on getting a review. It's funny because as I'm getting ready for this drop, one of my first chef knives that I sold for almost 4 years ago, she posted a picture of it and tagged me in it. I was like, oh man, this is like perfect timing. So I wound up hitting her up, and I was like, hey, could you give me a review and just like tell me over the past 4 years how you like this knife and stuff, and I'll send you a free knife for it. So I'm hoping she does it, because
Nice.
she get a
Yeah.
free fucking knife out of it if she wants. But if not, then
Yeah.
whatever. I'm just in it for the review. I want to hear what she thinks about it. I know she's been using it for 4 years now, and it's one of my first ever chef's knives, and I know it was okay
Yeah.
compared to what I make now. At least, I'm like, it wasn't
Yeah.
anything to write home about, but they seem to like it. So I just want to hear like what they like, what they don't like, if there's anything they even don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you say it's okay, but my kitchen's full of all of my first knives. And then, any prototype, any first attempt. And I always see my knives in the kitchen as the inferior knives. But every time I go and use them, as I'm using it, I'm impressed every time. I'm like, holy shit, this
Yeah,
is so good.
you can't
So
can't get this in a store.
yeah, dude. Which we'll cover that in another episode too. But it's tough because you look at it, your old work, and you cringe. But once you really get your hands on it, yeah, maybe it's a little thicker than it should have been. Yeah, maybe you didn't hand sand the handle as highly as you would have now or whatever. But I mean, you put an edge on a nice piece of steel, it'll cut, baby, every time.
It still
So
works.
that's it. But hey, all right. So that's it, man. We got back. We got our first
You did
episode.
it, man.
Now, anyone listening, we're gonna try to release consistent episodes. If we take breaks, we take breaks. But I mean, the goal is to just keep on going always. That's how you make a knife. Just to keep on
Goal
going.
is to keep making knives, man. That's the main goal.
That's it. I tell you, I don't think I'd be able to stop if someone tried to make me. You could pay me to stop. I can't. I wake up and I think fucking knives. It's crazy. But until then, man, stay sharp. Talk to you soon.
Till next time.